Hello, I'm Shane Brinkman Davis, and here's how to do amazingly great design. First, let's define design. A good dictionary definition is to plan something in your mind. Anything we plan, whether it's an event or a product, anything that we apply forethought to, is designed. The question is not whether or not something's designed. The question is how well designed it is. Let's start with some examples. First, consider the IKEA watering can. All it needs to do is have a handle, hold, and pour water. IKEA manages to surprise and delight with this seemingly simple product. The proof is in the details. Start with the handle. It is tapered so people with different sized hands can find a comfortable grip. Next, notice how it supports pouring. Its long tapered spout makes it easy for pouring precisely. It even excels at the simple task of holding water. Being a single plastic mold, it is unlikely to ever spring a leak, and the lightweight plastic ensures that even with a small amount of water and a tapered base, it is still not very tippy. Beyond function, its form is beautiful. It makes you want to pick it up and feel it. The design minimizes production costs and allows IKEA to sell it for an amazing 99 cents. And as a bonus, they stack. Next, let's look at the World Wildlife Foundation's Together app. The goal is to increase awareness of endangered species and accept donations. The minimal requirements might be to list the animals, their current status, and link to a donation webpage. Instead, they developed a deeply emotional experience. The app starts with a playful, uplifting soundtrack. The soundtrack morphs in response to where you are in the app. To bring a sense of elegance, they integrated an origami theme throughout. Even the 3D globe appears to be made out of paper. The app's user interface uses all shades of gray to allow the beautiful color photography to exclusively draw the user in. Charities often fail to clearly communicate why we should care. They are often too pushy, full of doom and gloom, and laden with guilt. This amazingly well-designed app has none of those shortcomings. The majority of the app is about praising the majesty of the animals. It is inspiring and uplifting. It is anything but pushy. To even see the donation screen, you have to unlock the last animal, ensuring the user is deeply engaged before they ask for money. The Jawbone Jambox is an engineering triumph. It packs an amazing amount of sound in a tiny package, but it doesn't stop there. The packaging hides the speakers, and the simple box shape communicates a promise of simplicity. It is designed to run totally wireless. It has excellent battery life and uses Bluetooth for audio. Its built-in microphone allows it to be used as a speakerphone. Though it targets wire-free use, the inclusion of a 3.5mm jack supports older devices and gives you an alternative when Bluetooth doesn't work perfectly. This is a highly focused product. The goal is wireless, high-quality sound, simplicity, and style. Individually, these are goals any portable sound system might target. Together, with Jambox's flawless execution, elevates the product to another level. It invites everyone to take off their headphones and share their music. This app helps you track your daily goals with minimum distractions. Balance says completing your goals can be hard enough. Your goal tracking app should help, not hinder you. Logging when you complete a task is just a single swipe gesture. Minimizing the most common and critical path makes the app effortless to use. Setup is accelerated by providing a catalog of common tasks, reducing the number of taps required by over 90%. Balance uses a unique set of fonts, setting it apart from other apps. And its one fancy 3D transition manages not to be distracting, yet further that distinction, making it a unique and enjoyable experience. The last example is the Nest thermostat. Targeting an industry that has been stagnant for more than a decade, they reduced the number of controls to one dial. Even more amazing, the dial only does one thing. It sets the desired temperature. The display is minimal, including only the current temperature, the desired temperature, a visual of their delta aligned with the dial, and an estimate of how long the temperature change will take. The elegance of the interface is a brilliant bit of design, but the true genius of Nest is what happens behind the scenes. It tracks every time you set the temperature and automatically learns your daily routine. It then programs itself and soon it starts adjusting the temperature for you according to your past preferences. Extreme focus takes what used to be a heinously painful task of programming your thermostat and transforms it into an effortless and joyful interaction. Amazingly great design is about exceeding expectations in every detail. To achieve amazingly great design requires continual improvement in 3 critical areas: focus, details, and ideas. We're going to talk about all 3 of these, as well as designer's amnesia and the impact of great design. Now, when I say it's about exceeding expectation in every detail, one response is there's no time to spend on every possible detail. And that's where focus comes in. Steve Jobs has famously said, focus is about saying no. And what he means by that is it's not just about saying no to bad ideas. It's not just about saying no to good ideas. It's about saying no to even great ideas so you can focus 100% of your time on amazingly great ideas. Don't waste your time on anything short of the amazingly great. Focus is about time. Time is your most valuable resource, and focus is the ultimate time management tool. Focus means learning how to use every moment of your time for only the single most important thing you can do with it: saying no to everything else. The first thing to focus on is your customer. Instead of describing the average or most common customer, I recommend inventing a customer archetype. Your archetype describes a potentially real person. An archetype is like an average person, but there's a difference. Your average customer may have 2.5 children. The archetype forces you to choose a real mom with exactly 2 children. With that choice, you can achieve amazingly great design for moms with 2 children, instead of merely good design for moms with 2 or 3. When the customer interacts with your product, you are guiding them down a specific designed path. This path has a story. It has a beginning, middle, and end. In the beginning, the customer has a task they are trying to accomplish. They must decide to use your product and take action to begin their journey. In the middle, they are working on the task. This is where they spend most of the time with your product. It is critical to get this part of the story right. By the end, they have accomplished the task, and they are rewarded not only with the desired result, but also some set of positive emotions. The very best stories have excellent beginnings, middles, and endings, and they are just the right length. Write down this archetypical story for your product, step by step, with storyboards. This is a single linear path through time. Think of it as a movie rather than as an interactive product. Focus on this single story exclusively and make it the best possible story it can be. This singular focus on one customer and one story ultimately leads to a better product. A highly focused product is easier to use. The product itself can communicate to the customer what it is for and how to use it. The product tells its own story. Another benefit of a highly focused product involves human perception. Our minds are tuned to notice things that stand out. Doing one and only one thing amazing is better than doing many things merely good. An amazing product will be cherished and remembered. A merely good product will be quickly replaced and forgotten, even if it does more. In the end, focus is the key to solving this equation. The time required to complete a project is proportional to the product's features and its quality. All too often, people assume the feature list is a hard requirement. If they have to make a certain deadline, then quality has to be sacrificed. This decision always results in a mediocre product. Instead, if you want to make amazingly great products, then quality must be fixed at maximum. To meet the deadline, then, it is the feature list which has to be culled. As you practice this methodology of extreme focus, you'll find there are very few features which are requirements. As Jobs said, focus is about saying no. To produce with maximum quality, keep saying no to the features until the list is so short every last one of them can be implemented with excellence. The result will be a far better product. Next, we are going to talk about the details. Charles Ames once said, "The details are not the details. They make the design." The question then becomes, what details matter? This is a question which takes a lifetime to master. The first step is to learn how to broaden your scope. To inspire you, I'm going to cover 4 of the many types of details that might be important to consider when designing your product. The first category is the environment. Where is the product used? Is it loud or quiet, bright or dark? Who is around? What time of day will it be used? Second is the product itself. Assuming the product is some sort of application or website, are all the elements exactly aligned? Is there adequate white space to make the viewer comfortable? What colors are used, and are they used consistently? Is the app perceived to be performant and immediately responsive? Do the animations reduce distractions, or are they themselves distracting? Are the fonts legible? Do they invoke the right emotional response? How are errors handled? Next, who is the archetypical customer? What is their day like? Who are the important figures in their life? What social groups do they belong to? What are their hopes and desires? What will the person be thinking just before they use the product? Just after? Will they be thinking about the product even when they're not using it? What do we want them to feel when they use the product? How will our customer want to be perceived while using our product publicly? Last, think about the life cycle of the product. How will the customer learn about it? Where will they first see it? Where will they first touch it? When is their first real engagement? Once they have the product, what is their daily engagement like? And what is their last engagement? Even after the last engagement, how does that product recur in their thoughts? Is there a chance to re-engage them later? The third and final pillar of great design is your idea toolbox. These are the tools and patterns you use to create the product and exceed expectations in every detail. Jean-Luc Godard said, "It's not where you take things from, it's where you take them to." Jim Jarmusch said, "Nothing is original. Steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration or fuels your imagination. Devour old films, new films, music, books, paintings, photographs, poems, dreams, random conversations, architecture, bridges, street signs, trees, clouds, bodies of water, light and shadows. Select only things to steal from that speak directly to your soul. If you do this, your work and theft will be authentic. Authenticity is invaluable. Originality is non-existent. And don't bother concealing your thievery. Celebrate it if you feel like it." A designer's toolbox is constantly expanding and evolving. The best designers make a continual effort to improve it by all means available. The first step is to keep a design notebook. As you start noticing good and bad design in the world, start taking notes. This helps you clarify your thinking on the design and gives you something concrete to come back to when you need it later. Next, develop a well-considered opinion. In order to be a great designer, you need to learn to care deeply about great design. You need to be able to not only distinguish between good and bad design, but also articulate why it is so. Be prepared to offend people. If you don't, then you aren't pushing the envelope. Be playful. Constantly experiment with your tools. Free yourself of the constraints of your real projects and allow yourself to explore freely and discover great new possibilities. Get inspired. Creativity is equal parts experimentation and inspiration. You need to constantly feed your brain new stimulus from the outside world. This includes trying out competitors' products, but it also includes getting inspiration from completely different fields. Visit great works of art and architecture. Read voraciously. Explore nature. Take classes. Go to conferences. Read blogs and listen to podcasts. Before wrapping up, I want to leave you with one important word of caution. As Donald Norman said, designers know too much about their products to be objective judges. The process of design and implementation unavoidably leads to the designer memorizing the design. Any design, good or bad, can become intuitive to someone who has memorized it. One loses objectivity and empathy for new users the more one uses a product, and it's worse if you are the designer. This is designer's amnesia. To combat this, constantly get outside perspective for everything. Is your focus the right one? Are there failures in your design that you can no longer see because you've memorized them? Is there a tool that obviously solves a problem better, but you can no longer see it? Explaining what you were working on to someone new is a good way to expose these shortcomings. It is even better to give them a prototype and watch them use it. Videotape the session and scrutinize every stumbling block after. Usually, you'll be slapping your forehead within the first few minutes. Many companies are committed to amazingly great design, including Apple, Herman Miller, Blizzard, Jawbone, 53, and IKEA. Each of these companies have been successful largely because of their great design. Just briefly, let's cover why amazingly great design matters so much. First, repeatedly exceeding expectations dramatically increases the customer's perception of your product's value. You can charge more, customers will seek you out, and you will stand out amongst the competition. Second, great design creates goodwill towards your brand. People begin to care about your brand and even come to love it. This is because the third benefit is to add real, tangible value for the customer. Historically, design has been considered window dressing, a frivolous veneer on the product which may sell 10% more. Thankfully, the companies I've mentioned and others have paved the way. It is now clear that great design dramatically increases the value for the customer, and here's why. Great design just saves time. Just as time is the designer's ultimate resource, it's also our customer's most important asset. All great design takes the customer's time into account and gives them the most bang per second. Next, great design reduces stress and fatigue. Rough edges, both literally and metaphorically, wear us down and suck our energy. A poorly designed product may get the job done, but will be emotionally and physically exhausted after using it. Instead, an amazingly designed product could actually energize and excite us, slingshotting us into the next task of the day. Last, great design brings beauty and delight to our lives. Great design isn't a veneer or frivolous window dressing. It is a beauty that reaches deep inside the product and impacts us at all levels. It can even impact us when we are not using the product. It can inspire, soothe, and bring joy. If you are thinking this is too much touchy-feely, just remember that these positive emotions impact the bottom line for everyone. We are more productive under their influence and happier in life. So, there are 3 pillars of amazingly great design. Focus is about practicing deep empathy with the customer, saying no to everything but the most important features so we have time to implement them with excellence. As with the other 2 pillars, this is a discipline which requires constant learning, insight, and innovation. To master the details of design, you must train your mind to be precise and attentive. You need to learn to see the products from every angle and see every minute flaw. Discovering what details matter is equal parts science and experience gathered over a lifetime. As you work to master your focus and understanding of the details, you will learn thousands of tricks, patterns, and solutions you can employ to implement your design. Each time you finish one design, you'll have new and better ideas for the next one. Overall, the key to becoming an amazingly great designer is to be aware of these pillars, yet follow your own passion and keep an open mind. Insight can come from the strangest of places.